I'm gonna get into the participants. Hello, hello. I want to say hi to Sarah, who has joined us. Thanks for jumping on. If you've got any questions, y'all go ahead. The chat's open. Like I said, this is an open-ended discussion. So I want, get in there, tell us where you're from, what company you're with, and let's see if we can get some good discussion going. And we will get started. We're gonna give people a few minutes to come in. I want to say hi to Austin. Thanks for joining us today. We've got Matt. Hey, thanks for coming in. Let us know where y'all are from. Let us know what company you're working with. And like I said, questions, send them in. We've got a ton from our email cadence that we had over the past few weeks. But if you did not get your questions via email, make sure and put them in the chat. We'll be going through those. Let's see. Hi, Miranda. Thanks for joining us today. Okay, y'all, we're gonna give people a few minutes, as I've told my lovely panelist here.
We don't all have as cool a background as you, though.
Try. I know, and it's real, right? You can't tell if your backgrounds are real or not. Getting very mixed up.
Especially the ones that move. The moving backgrounds always, it's like, are they at the beach? They might not be.
I wish. Like, there's like a new Snoop Dogg commercial where he's at the beach. I'm just like, that's where I want to be too, Snoop.
Having, that's the Chip one, right? Him and Martha are having chip and dip at the beach.
Yeah.
Martha Stewart, what a duo. Let's see.
It really is.
Thanks for joining us today. We're excited to have you here. Let's see. Wilson, thank you for coming in. Okay, and you guys are going to keep hearing this, but the chat is open. So if you already know your question or didn't get it in to our team before, go ahead and throw it in there and we will get to it as soon as we get started. Oh, it's a beautiful day here in Austin. I'm excited to sit outside after this, unwind.
It's like it's going to rain here in Atlanta. At least it sure feels that way.
Man.
That's always nice. We could use that here in Denver. It's been really smoky from all the fires, unfortunately, but weirdly enough, we had a 26-mile-per-hour wind thing a few days ago. So that actually cleared the smoke out really nicely. So it's beautiful today.
That's good. I have a friend in Fort Collins, and she sent me some wild-looking photos.
Yeah, Fort Collins is not doing so well at the moment.
Let's see. You want to say hi to Parker, who just joined us? Thank you guys for jumping on. Trying to grab people as they come in and say hello. Let's see, and we'll give people a couple more minutes. This is really a working session, and this is about bringing your questions and letting us help find a solution for you. So we've got a couple slides in the beginning, a couple at the end, but really it's just going to be the panelists talking. So I don't want to, I'm going to give people enough time to come in because we're not going to, there's not a lot of boring stuff at the beginning. We're just jumping right in. So I'm going to make sure everybody's in here ready to go. Okay, team, everybody got your laptops plugged in? You ready?
Ready to go. Easy to stay plugged in when you don't move from the same spot all day, sitting at the same desk in my house.
I've been trying to do my computer at night because I feel like it just sits there, right? All day. Yeah. I also have a fear of my toddler coming in at some point and messing with it or typing or, who knows. So I always close it. It's like worse than an employee who's like a practical jokester or like a colleague. The
Yep.
toddler is scarier. I think everybody here knows I was doing a pretty important presentation and my toddler unplugged the internet in the middle of it. So hopefully all goes well today.
That's
But
impressive, honestly. Like that's
It really
almost
is.
diabolical. Like how do you know that that's so important?
all the things in the house, how that one. So hopefully we're good. You guys let me know in chat if you can't hear me, or if I go away, Tweety and Aaron will just take over and pretend I was never here. It'll be great.
Just running with it.
Run it. Alexandra has let us know that she's a pro at this, so
Oh wow, no pressure. No pressure.
Okay, I am going to go ahead and kind of kick things off. Okay, everybody, let me know if you can't see. Let us know in chat if we've got, connectivity issues, but I think we'll be good today. Good to go. Welcome everybody to our working session, Elevate Your Impact with Marketo. I want to kind of kick things off and let's see if I can, figure this guy out. Really talk about, what I mean by working session. So this was one of the questions that I kind of got as the email started going out. We've all talked about, goodness, Zoom fatigue, webinar fatigue. So the team here at Verify really wanted to understand what we could do a little bit different. And what we've seen is we've got a lot of expertise with a lot of different platforms. And Marketo is, we're a Marketo customer, we're a Marketo partner, we're in the weeds with Marketo all the time. We're trying new things, new products. And so we thought, let's take some of our expertise from this team and get together with Marketo and do a working session. Like we field so many questions on our side. And so we wanted kind of a cool place to discuss and talk about that. And then we were able to get Alexandra from that team from Marketo to come in and talk to us. So I want to talk about, like I said, it is an open discussion. So hang in there with us. The kind of the big things that you'll walk away with today, we're going to talk about analytics and report automation. We're going to talk about using connected data across teams and platforms. Work looks a little bit different today. So let's make sure everybody's looking at the right things when they need it. For me, it's been hard because there's no walking over to sales ops and saying, hey, can you run that report for me? Like, I'm living in my platforms. I want it in Marketo. I want to be able to see it where I live every day. And then, appending data, staying within your contact bands. We are here at Verify to be a consultative resource. We're all talking about budgets. We're talking about what is our budget for 2021. And so one of the things we want to talk about is making sure your database is clean, making sure you're staying within those contact bands. Let's, use Marketo better, not just have it filled with a bunch of stuff. Okay, so our speakers today, you guys have already heard me talking. You'll be tired of it soon. We have Alexandra Quick, who is product marketing at Marketo. We are so excited for her to be here with us today. We've had a relationship with Marketo for a really long time. All the customers on the call today are Marketo users, so we have a really awesome crew kind of joining us today, and we're excited to have Alexandra here. Our dry runs and all of our meetings for this webinar have been really cool, and we've even learned some things in the meantime. So Alexandra, thanks for being here with us. We also have Erin Kazmarzik, who is our marketing ops person, who is our in the weeds Marketo person. She saves my life on a daily basis. And then Erickson Tweedy, who's a product manager here. He kind of oversees our tech stack in the sense of understanding, because Verify and the integration functionality that we have, he really understands how to connect Marketo to all those different places. He helps us fix a lot of things. So that kind of leads us into, here's what we've got here today. Here's the expertise. We've got our Marketo expert in Alexandra. We've got Erin, who is Marketo certified. She's taken the test. She knows all the things, even if Google is her best friend when it comes to knowing all those things. And then, like I said, Tweety, who's our fixer. And then myself, who I'm the director of marketing here, and I just know enough to be dangerous. So a lot of this defaults to Erin and her expertise. Okay, so what I want everybody to do is kind of give your background. A lot of Vertify customers are technical, and then a lot of them are not technical. So tell us kind of where you fall on that scale, and that'll kind of help us with our questions. People can kind of understand, hey, Tweety, you're technical. I have a more technical question for you. So Alexandra, we will start with you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Lacey. And hi, everyone. As Lacey mentioned, I'm Alexandra Quick from the product marketing team here at Adobe, focused on Marketo Engage. And of course, as my title suggests, I'm on the marketing side of things. But I like to think I'm pretty knowledgeable about some of the technical aspects. But I do think I'll be best suited to help you guys with problem solving and use cases and kind of understanding the landscape, what problems these two solutions can solve for, what we're seeing in the market, what we're seeing with our customers, rather than the super technical side. But of course, if there's a super technical question that stumps me, I can certainly get back to you offline. So don't be afraid to ask something, just might not be able to answer it off the top of my head. And of course, I always learn a ton from people, other customers, which of course Vertify is a Marketo customer as well. So excited to hear about some experiences from Erin and Tweety as well, along with what I can provide from the Marketo perspective. So excited to be here today.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, Erin, next up.
I'm Erin Kazmarzik. I am the marketing operations manager for Vertify. I'm also their Marketo admin. I'm in Marketo every day, right? As any marketing operations person knows, this is where I live. I stay in my happy zone. But I work with Tweety every day. I mean, as any good operations person knows, your best friend with your de facto Salesforce admin, because I could not make all of the magic happen if there wasn't a Tweety.
Okay, Tweety.
Yeah. So as Erin and Lacey had mentioned, Erickson Tweety, I'm on the product side at Vertify here, and really kind of where I sit is really interesting because I get to see how we actually use Marketo as a Marketo customer, but then also get to work with our customers who are also Marketo customers and really see the challenges that we face and then help use that to help our customers and then learn a lot from them. So as Erin mentioned and Lacey mentioned, I get to help kind of brainstorm some of the solutions on top of it. So
it is interesting to kind of be in the weeds with a tool that we use every day, and then also help our customers with the same tool because, man, we can really speak to it, right? We're actually using it. We like to talk about the campaigns we're running or how we came up with this or that. It's been kind of a fun series of conversations. So love that. Okay. Oops. There we go. Okay. So our agenda for today, we've kind of already had our introductions. What we want to do, everyone on the call knows who Marketo is. Everybody knows who Vertify is. And so what we're going to kind of do is a little bit different here, and we're going to introduce the platforms by telling an interesting customer story or use case. So I'm going to start with, once again, both Vertify and Marketo customers. One of our favorites is LogMeIn. They have either the biggest or the second largest contact database that Marketo has. So as you can imagine, that is an incredibly huge data set. And our Vertify admin over there, he is very much so on the technical side. He has been with Marketo. They've been with Marketo for years and years, and Vertify. And they came to us because of our ability to move custom objects. So you can imagine the largest database in Marketo history, and then millions of custom objects. So we know that team over there very well. We talk to them all the time, but it's been a really cool learning scenario to kind of see what they're using it for, understanding the bidirectional pull, what needs to be here and there. They've got a lot of M&A activity, acquisitions. they've been acquired. And so, you know, the instances of bringing together CRMs, bringing together Marketo instances or other marketing automation tools, they've been able to kind of use Vertify to get all that into one place and then continue to send that content back and forth from their Marketo instance to other places where other team members need to see it. The next one I wanted to kind of chat about is Go Engineer. It was a great customer of ours and has been a Marketo customer also for a long time. And they kind of got stumped with some data in their Marketo instance. They are also a NetSuite customer. And so it was how Vertify kind of helped them, like I keep saying, getting that data, connecting that data, and then what they wanted to do was derive like real in the weeds analytics from that and understand their campaign, their revenue impact, the marketing team's revenue impact by campaign, down to like the product. Because for them, it was about saving their budget. People would come to them and say, well, marketing did this, but we don't really know where the impact was. And so the marketing team at Go Engineer said, okay, we know the revenue impact is there, so how do we prove that? And so we were able to tie their Marketo information through other systems within the company to make sure that they were showing that revenue impact. So Alexandra, I will pass it on to you and kind of let you intro Marketo by telling us an interesting customer story or use case.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great example. So another joint customer I think that's worth mentioning is Learning Ally. And I'll try not to talk for too long. I could talk about this stuff for a while. So other panelists, feel free to interject if I'm going on too long or you have questions or comments as I'm going. But so hopefully all of you know that Marketo has great tracking of digital engagements, which is really important to our product. And that's across web, email, events, social, and pretty much everything that you're doing in marketing. But one thing that's obviously really critical is that these data points and engagements are commonly understood by other technologies in your stack so that they can be consumed into business intelligence reporting, revenue reporting, as Lacey just talked about. And of course, something that we're really passionate about is sales and marketing alignment. So on the topic of sales and marketing alignment, there are obviously 1,000 different ways to slice and dice your customer journey, but keeping it simple, you can think about pre-handoff to sales, after the handoff to sales, and then post-purchase when they're a customer. And all of those engagements are really critical to be understood by all of your systems, including and perhaps especially your CRM. So Learning Ally, for example, uses NetSuite as their CRM, which is not one of our more robust CRM integrations, but not a problem because you have solutions. So you have Vertify to fill in any gaps and really provide the ultimate customization to share data back and forth between Marketo and your CRM to really create that elite sales and marketing alignment. And then another interesting way that Learning Ally uses Marketo and Vertify is to solve for complex business use cases that come up often when you're scaling and growing. So for example, Learning Ally went from offering one product to offering several. So they wanted to have complex lead scoring for different product lines. And that's just one thing that then needs to be translated and tracked across their stack. So using Vertify to kind of solve for that and make sure that, again, those complex business use cases are understood commonly across the stack. And then, of course, we can't ignore the impacts of COVID-19 on businesses. And I know we want to talk about contact bans today. And of course, Marketo is priced based on contact bans. So as budgets may be tightened, it's really important to do more with less. And do more with the contacts that you already have and kind of nurture those and make sure you maintain a healthy database and that data hygiene that Lacey mentioned before. And we'll definitely be touching on that throughout the session, but just want to reiterate that now more than ever, that's really, really critical. So I know I just talked a lot, but just some things to keep in mind. Accessible and normalized data is really crucial to sales and marketing alignment. Data complexities grow as your business grows, so be ready to solve for that with solutions like Vertify. And then COVID means making the most out of what you have in your toolbox already. So we can talk about some ways to do that. But that's just an example that comes to mind of they have a lot going on and a lot of things to solve for. And I think they've done a really good job of using Marketo and Vertify together to solve for those use cases.
Yeah, Learning Ally is a great one, great example. Okay, that brings us to kind of the Q&A portion of this session. And like I told our attendees, hey, the chat is open. Please drop in your questions, but we do have a lot from our, that we got via email. I mean, Alexandra, you've kind of already started the conversation on this. So I might let Erin start with this one, but somebody said my overall budget was reduced. Like, how can I do more with less in Marketo? And something Erin and I talk about all the time is expanding and optimizing your current platforms, right? Like, let's not get 20 platforms. Let's do something really incredible with our current platforms. And Erin knows this very well because she came to me a few weeks ago and said, hey, you know, I see that you are using this tool, which is great, but did you know that Marketo does this for us? So, Erin, thank you. I will let you and Alexandra kind of talk about budgets and doing more with Marketo.
Sure. I mean, we're all, you know, this has been a crazy year, I think, for everybody. So yeah, I mean, doing more with your Marketo instance, is now, I think, more critical than ever. And, you know, I look at email campaigns and I look at things that I'm running in Marketo and I'm like, why do I have people in this data set that I can't even market to? That like aren't ideal buyers, that, you know, wouldn't fit into our ideal customer, you know, profile. So why even worry about having them in my Marketo instance, right? So again, the whole beautiful part of being a marketing operations person for Vertify is we do drink our own champagne here. So I am able to take those data points, append them, get the stuff out that doesn't need to be in Marketo to stay under compliance. I mean, the last thing I want is, you know, a letter from Marketo that says, you're over compliance and we might have to cut you off. That's terrifying. To anybody that uses Marketo every day, that is terrifying. So yeah, I mean, that the most important part about budget, like keep people in Marketo that you can market to. No
Okay.
point in high bounds.
Somebody did write in, Alexandra, and they did say, if I exceed my contact band, what happens when Marketo cut me off? So from the product marketing side of things, let's talk about that.
Sure. So from my understanding, we're not just going to cut you off. Don't worry. That's not how it works. But we do track kind of what the actual contact size is and database contact size is. So then a CSM will go in and check and just say, hey, is that what you purchased? And just kind of monitor that. If it's slightly over, yes, we'll just like work with you to make sure you get that under and in compliance, or you can always purchase more. I know that's not ideal at this point, but of course it's important as your business grows, you might have to, you know, even if you do what Erin mentioned and kind of cleanse your data set and have just marketable contacts, you may need to add more. And that's something that you should plan for as you scale and grow. You should plan to, as your business grows, have more contacts and be using Marketo to market to those contacts. So not to say that you shouldn't plan to grow your contact set, but if you do reach or pass that limit, we'll work with you to get it down to the size it should be. We're not just going to cut you off. We'll talk to you about it, let you know. But it is, you know, it is ideal that you're under or meet that threshold and not go over. But again, not just going to cut you off. We're not just turn your lights off. We'll work with you. Your CSM will work with you to find ways to kind of bring it back down and into what your contract database size is.
And I think that's something that we talk about here is, once again, being that consultative resource. We talk about best practices, just back to what Erin's saying. Going into your database and saying, why am I even marketing to this person? Or is this a real person? Or all of those things. It's kind of, we have functionality here at Vertify to clean that data and append that data. That doesn't mean we don't hit our contact bands. We are growing as well. And so it's just, I think, you know, having your finger on the pulse and talking to your CSM on the Marketo side, talking to us on our side. What can we help you do with that data that could get you within compliance in Marketo, right? Like, let's all work on this together.
Yeah, totally agreed. And then another thing to keep in mind when talking about, you know, kind of making the most out of what contacts you have, Erin made a great point, like making sure, you know, a great strategy is to just have marketable contacts so that you know, what's the point of having a bunch of unmarketable contacts that get excluded from every single program you run? There's like no point in that really. But also another thing that's important is, and I think this goes without saying, hopefully, and this is kind of an age-old marketing thing, but testing is really important. So don't just batch and blast. You recycle lists over and over again. You're just going to drive those unmarketable, you're going to drive opt-outs. You're going to drive people to, not want to hear from you anymore. So make the most of those contacts, hit them with targeted messages, things that make sense for them. It can be tempting in this time to just kind of, everything's virtual. You're relying so heavily on digital engagements. Like, let's hammer our whole contact list with webinar invites, our whole, et cetera, emails. Like, they're getting that a lot already. So really take the time to look at subsets, test what works, and then maybe you can expand that to a larger group once you know, hey, this is really valuable. It gets a great response. That can be rolled out to a larger group without driving those unsubscribes and keeping a really good, healthy contact base.
And that I've got a question for Tweety on this one, because that brings us kind of to even our de facto Salesforce admin, right? Because we need good information. And so somebody asked, like, my database is full of old contacts. I don't necessarily want them all in Marketo. How do I handle that?
Yeah, and so this is actually a challenge that we've been recently going through as we combine multiple Salesforce instances into a single Salesforce instance, and how to make sure that we're getting the most out of our Marketo instance. And so Alexandra and Aaron have hit on some great points of looking at marketable, looking at the ideal customer profile, using some of the functionality we already have at Vertify to be able to say, okay, is this person still here? Have they moved on? Is the email address good? Really using some of those strategies and saying, okay, great. We're making a big investment in Marketo. We want to use Marketo to its fullest, and ensuring that the data that we're bringing in from a CRM or a product system, anything that we're kind of driving into our Marketo instance, making sure that it meets the people that we want to be communicating with, whether it's current customers, hopefully future customers, anybody else on the buying journey with us, and making sure that they meet that requirement, meet who we want to talk to. So we're not blasting just kind of our entire marketing database to say, hey, join this webinar, it's going to be awesome, even though they might be in finance. They might not be in Marketo. They're certainly benefiting from it, but you want to make sure that the data that you've got in there is clean, crisp, and as deep as possible. So when you are doing those testings, you can be hyper focused in to say, okay, I want to do this testing on this particular segment, but I even want to drill in deeper than that. So you can really gauge, is my messaging resonating? And then, and just as Alexandra talked about, expanding it beyond that. So there are numerous different ways, and everybody's instance is a little bit different. And that's just some of the ways that we've looked at it.
And, somebody did send a question in and say, like, what's the best feature people should know about? And so just right along with this theme, Alexandra, in one of our previous conversations, you mentioned something new from Marketo called predictive audiences. And so can you talk to everybody about how that could help with part of this?
Yeah, absolutely. That's super relevant here. So predictive audiences is a new feature, as Lacey mentioned, in Marketo. And it's powered by AI. And actually now we're able to use, since we were acquired by Adobe, to use Adobe Sensei, which is the AI framework from the Adobe side. So really powerful AI models and tools there that power this functionality as well. But basically, it just helps with exactly what we're talking about, like in a scalable way, because you might not have additional headcount right now. You might not even be able to backfill previous positions just because of the way the world is. So how do you make the most with Marketo today? Predictive audiences is a great way to do that because it scales those decision-making points. So for example, there are a few features like likelihood to unsubscribe, likelihood to register, likelihood to attend. So obviously the latter two apply to events and webinars, but that really they work just in your regular workflows today. So if I'm in Marketo, I'm setting up a smart campaign or a smart list, I'm dragging filters over, defining what my audience is going to be. These work just like that. So you have your regular filters, so you might be targeting a specific industry, a specific customer group, etc. You just pull in one of these filters, define what the threshold you want. So you might, for example, exclude anyone that is more than 5% likely to unsubscribe. And that really helps. It sounds small, it sounds super simple, and that's the great thing about it. It's super easy, but it does all that work for you. You don't have to, pour over data sets and understand, like, why are people unsubscribing? Why am I losing these important contacts that I have? Why is my marketable contact list continually going down? Which obviously we know is a huge deal for the customer lifetime value and all that great stuff. So it's a really incredibly easy way to accomplish those goals. And then we also have lookalike audiences, which just let you repeat success over and over. So saying, hey, we had a similar program that was dedicated to this region. I want to replicate this, but for a different region. What were the common characteristics that made these people convert at such a high rate? How do I replicate that in this other program? So that was a lot, but just really the takeaway is something that's super helpful. I'm going to say super like 10,000 times because I'm jazzed about AI, but it's really helpful to use AI in these times because, as I mentioned, you're kind of taking the work of what would be a lot of man hours, additional headcount, et cetera, and just letting that be automated, continuously learning and applying those learnings without having to intervene as much. So, and you can kind of focus on some of the higher level strategic stuff instead of kind of being in the weeds of, why did this one program have high unsubscribes, which is still important. So.
And I think we're all being asked a lot more questions these days. We had somebody talk to us about other teams salivating over the events budget and marketing. And it's like, okay, just because we're not doing in-person events does not mean you can take that and put it somewhere else. And so we worked with that customer to really dive down and, kind of automate some of those reporting processes, show that revenue, show marketing's impact on revenue, and kind of say, hey, marketing's doing great things. Last year it was an in-person conference. This year it's X, right? We all know we have to change things up a little bit. We're gonna do it. I don't need other teams looking over my shoulder and saying, what are you gonna do? I know you were gonna spend a lot at that event. No. We got it. So just anticipating some of those new questions, making sure you've got the data to really speak to it. We talk about empowering the marketing person all the time. That is a super passion of mine and this team, and making sure people have what they need to very confidently walk into a meeting and say, here's marketing's impact. Here's where we're going. Here's what we've succeeded at. And hey, here's where we course corrected when something wasn't going great. So all of these things together. And as we talk about, we want to keep everybody apprised of what Vertify is doing and how we're changing, because it's don't go buy another system. Let's connect what we have. Let's do more with what we have. And so it's great to see Marketo and what the innovations there, because it's like I said, I was paying for something monthly, and then Aaron said, hey, did you know I can do that in Marketo? And it was like, I didn't. I am not a super expert over here, and now we're getting the reports and the alerts, and it's incredible and it's good information. So I like seeing that and kind of sharing that with everybody. Okay, let's see. Man, we do have, okay, I am gonna get a little bit technical with Tweety because we have a couple of questions that have come up. Somebody said, we have a homegrown CRM. Is this something Vertify can connect with? And so, Tweety, I know there's a connector there that you know about.
This could be a long conversation and one we definitely want to follow up with after as well. But kind of the short answer is absolutely. There's a few different ways we can go about doing it, and every organization kind of has built, bought some combination of those things, and come to Vertify so they can get that data from other systems into their Marketo instance, and make that actionable for the rest of the team. So the short answer, without going 7,000 feet under the ocean is absolutely, we definitely can. And there's a couple different ways we could do it depending on the system.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, and just a point there too, not even just homegrown, like Marketo has complex native integrations, non-native integrations. So even if you do use like Salesforce, for example, you might have kind of like a complicated way that you're implementing that and connecting it with Marketo. So Vertify is a great way to solve for that as well. Again, you might have a mix of non-native integration, native, or several instances that you're trying to connect. So just another point there.
Fantastic point, yeah.
Do a lot of custom data. Let's see, yeah, custom objects. Somebody did ask about the custom objects thing. So we're touching on that, but I do feel like that could get a little into the weeds. We'll follow up with some of those more technical questions. I do kind of want to start wrapping things up just a little bit. I'm going to present a question to everybody here. So we will start with Aaron. But we got one that said, hey, I'm fairly new to Marketo. I'm in a revenue operations role, which is also kind of a fairly new role. So what advice would you have from a learning curve perspective? And are there any lesser known ways to take the analytics functions to the next level? So.
I mean, in my role, I inherited Marketo, right, from a marketing person that left, and I was like, well, we can't just let this thing just sit. I'm going to learn how to use Marketo. So, I mean, Marketo offers like great training. I mean, I've done core concepts 1 and 2. I mean, Google, Slack groups, like the Marketo community. I mean, it's a beast, but like it in like the best way, right? Like it has so much fun. And all the time I'm like, Marketo is smarter than me, like 110% smarter than me. And the things they can do blow my mind. I mean, when you live in Marketo land is a different land, right? Like the things that make sense in like everyday life are different in Marketo, and that's okay. And it's, you know, it reaches audiences, and it just like, I've never seen a tool do what this tool can do. So yeah, I mean, it is a learning curve, you know, that's what it is, but hopefully you've got a team that can be there and support you and show you how to use a triggered smart campaign, and then your life is different. It's true.
You know, the revenue operations role we talked, I mean, even Alexandra mentioned it, that sales marketing alignment, like impact on revenue, this is a new thing. And so it's been, I ask Aaron to do things all the time where it's like, I don't know, wait, yes, I can. Right? So.
You can be half my brain and let's figure this out. Like, literally.
Okay. And yes, Aaron and I are both in a marketing operations Slack group, which has been extraordinarily helpful. So I'll show our email addresses here at the end, but if y'all want to email us and ask us about that, I think we can get the invite out to you. But
like join it.
Alexandra, I'll kind of let you answer this one. You know, what do you do with the newbies? Because one of the big reasons we use Marketo is we can get it to do all the things that we want it to do. It's not out of the box, right? It's can be customized, and we can run really great things. So what advice do you have for the newbies in this scenario?
Yeah, I loved Aaron's answer. I think something that we talk a ton about is the importance of our community, and that's something we've really honed in on. We've gotten awards for it. Like, we have a whole team who that's like their life. They just live and breathe in fostering that community and making sure people have the resources they need. I post on the community, like things that are coming from my end. The product managers are in there answering questions, posting things. That's a great place. And honestly, as you mentioned, customization is huge. So you might not find all of your answers in like our docs, our technical documentation, because it's up to you to how to solve for something, because there are 1,000 different ways to do it. So a great thing about the community too is that you can post like, hey, I have this specific problem, and you'll get experts that know way more about Marketo than I do, frankly, commenting and like, hey, like, why don't you try this and that? And it's just really a great community feel. And of course we have like Marketo University. We have great education trainings. I've gone through them before I took my exam. And I found them super helpful. I did that when I first started at Marketo, and it gave me just a great foundation of knowledge. So recommend that to everyone. And then if you have some budget, our professional services teams are amazing as well. So just getting that like hands-on, one-on-one help, especially at implementation. Usually like after that, you can kind of go your own or get incremental help. But I know Vertify as well as Marketo have great like consulting services and things like that that can help you get off the ground. But honestly, just get in the product. And sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So check out the community, just read up. We also have great resources like user groups where people just get together. I present on them too, just telling people what's new and answering questions and getting feedback too. That's great. We love getting feedback directly from our customers. So just a few ways you can get involved. But again, there are 1,000 different things you can do with Marketo. We really like value fostering a community environment.
Which is what we love. Tweety, I'll kind of let you close out. Your perspective, once again, is going to be a little bit different. You're more on the Vertify product side of things. And so it's kind of a similar question. We talked to a lot of people who are newer in this, we talk a lot about the newer revenue operations type role. So can you kind of talk about what Vertify is trying to solve for those folks?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm super excited about the revenue, this kind of concept of a revenue operations and a revenue team is taking off, because it's not just sales, it's not just marketing, it's not just product marketing, it's not just your engineer, it's a team, right? You're pulling everybody together to make one specific team to help your customers as best as possible, and empower them. And so yeah, with kind of how we can, how Vertify can help, we've got a bunch of different functionality around helping connect data. And we've talked some of these, right? We've talked about the specific customer use cases with Go Engineer and Log Me In, and kind of how we've been able to help out and drive additional value for Marketo customers. And, we drink our own champagne, right? We're using that same functionality to get the most out of Marketo, and really be focused on empowering our sales and marketing teams to do as much as they can with as little as possible, right? We can't overspend in places that we need to be more efficient in. So that's really the key is empowering our customers with data, whether it be pulling from one system into another, into Marketo, or taking that data from Marketo into another place so somebody can report on it there, or make it actionable, is exactly what we'll focus on.
And that perfectly leads us into what I love to talk about, and it's the customer data journey. We are here to connect your data, especially right now. I cannot stress enough, it can't live in a silo. We're talking about data in Marketo, Salesforce, outreach. We're doing a lot of things over here. So please, bring us your questions about that. And then the smarter database. I constantly am talking about how marketing's two greatest assets are our website and our contact database. And we've got to do more with it. So let's make sure it's right, it's clean, it's up to date. Both Alexandra and I talked about the best practices on that. We have a lot of information on that, so we can lead you down that path as well. And then proving impact, the analytics. I started my career early in marketing with somebody telling me that marketing was only going to be overhead. And so I very early on decided I do not want to be that kind of marketer. I want to prove impact. I know that it's there. And so that's what we're here to do, empower you to understand dollars in, or, going into sales, or we have a ton of nonprofits too. So that's fundraising, and kind of, there's a lot of different ways to show how your external is bringing in and helping with the internal. So just, that's how we think about data, and that's kind of what we've talked about. We've done our Q&A, but what I want to end with today are our email addresses. We've got, once again, Alexandra with Marketo, Adobe, and then Tweety, who's going to be more on the technical side. So some of those technical questions we will get back to you, or you can email Tweety, and then Erin, who is our marketing operations, Marketo admin. If you've got something specific to our programs or what we're doing, please feel free to email her, and I'm the catch-all. Anything you guys need, let me know. So I want to thank you, Alexandra, again for joining us today. We love this, having a product marketer talk to our customers, Marketo customers, and really answer some of these questions has been really, really great. So we're excited to have you, and thank you for your time, and thank you everybody who joined us today. You will see a follow-up from us, and we look forward to answering some more questions.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me. It was great talking to you guys.
Thanks, y'all.
Yeah, thanks
Bye.
everybody.